Hey guys, tonight we're not just talking about philosophy, we're stepping right into the eye of life's storm. Picture this: the world outside is loud, chaotic, and unpredictable. People cut you off, opinions clash, insults fly like arrows. It never stops, and yet, imagine walking through it all untouched, like the calm, unshaken center of a hurricane. That's what we're exploring: the ancient, battle-tested wisdom of the Stoics. How to live so steady, so anchored, that truly nobody bothers you. But fair warning, you probably won't survive this in the way your ego hopes. Because the Stoics, they don't sugarcoat life. They hand you the hard truth. The world isn't going to change for you. You change for the world. Your peace, it's your job to guard it. And tonight, we'll peel that open together. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. I love seeing this little community stretch across time zones. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The Stoics say, what if I told you nobody actually bothers you unless you let them? The Stoics knew this, and once you understand it, you'll never see life the same way. Every insult, every judgment, every trigger feels personal. But what if that was never true? Discover the Stoic blueprint for becoming untouchable. Imagine walking through life calm, steady, untouched by opinions, insults, chaos. That isn't fantasy, that's philosophy. And today, I'll show you how. 1. The story is not the event. In the wise words of Epictetus, if someone tried to take control of your body and make you a slave, you would fight fiercely for your freedom. Yet, how easily we surrender our minds to anyone who throws an insult our way. We dwell upon their harsh words, replay them in our heads, and inadvertently allow these negative thoughts to dominate our emotional state, effectively granting them power over us. It's astonishingly ironic. We would defend our physical freedom with ferocity, yet we so readily surrender our mental sovereignty. Insults, betrayal, chaos, and disrespect, none of these have inherent power. They're neutral facts, elements as natural and indifferent as the wind and rain. The Stoics remind us that these occurrences gain influence only through the narratives we construct around them, the meaning we assign, and how unguarded we let them infiltrate our minds. In truth, it is never the event itself that causes suffering, but rather the interpretation we attach to it. It's not what happens that hurts. Marcus Aurelius wrote, it's how we hold it. Being unbothered is not about denial or pretending the world is always gentle and fair. It's not about walking blindly through life, dismissing insults as if they didn't exist. Instead, it's about cultivating an inner landscape, a mental fortress, impervious to external disturbances. It's about developing a presence so grounded that insults fail to rattle you, and self-worth so robust it remains unaffected by external validation or criticism. Consider a common scenario. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The actual event is brief, lasting only a matter of seconds. Yet, the story you craft, they disrespected me. People are selfish. I hate this city, echoes in your mind. Long after the initial annoyance, you carry these negative stories forward, letting them seep into subsequent interactions, your body language, and even your sense of self. The Stoic sees clearly that it's not the car that stole your peace. It's the narrative you've allowed to linger in your mind. Stoics extend this wisdom to heartbreak, betrayal, failure, and every other emotionally charged event. They train themselves to step back and ask with deliberate clarity, what are the facts here? Stripped bare of my emotional assumptions, What narrative am I projecting onto this event? What pain here is real, and what part have I manufactured? Most people mistakenly conflate their emotional reactions with reality itself, thereby creating chaos and amplifying their suffering. The Stoic, however, learns to carefully separate event from interpretation, experience from emotion. This process isn't an attempt to suppress or ignore feelings, it's an active decision to understand and contextualize them before allowing them to hold sway. By questioning and scrutinizing our emotional narratives, we reveal just how much of our suffering is optional, created by our unchecked interpretations. Through practice, this mental discipline becomes second nature. Stoicism doesn't preach emotional numbness. Instead, it advocates for emotional discernment. Stoics aim not to feel nothing but to feel rightly. They let emotions pass through them without becoming captive to their impulses. This resilience emerges not through cynical detachment, but through deliberate awareness and understanding. Every time you pause to interrogate a story you tell yourself, you build a more resilient mind, one less prone to being disturbed, not by becoming disconnected from life, but by becoming deeply rooted in truth. This is the cornerstone of the unbothered life, filtering emotion through intelligence and intent, recognizing the difference between a reflexive reaction and a thoughtful response. Stoics dedicate themselves to this clarity as a craftsman attends to their tools, daily refining their discernment. They catch narratives before they spiral into negativity, consciously choosing reflection over projection, investigation over assumption. Through deliberate training, Stoics nurture lasting peace, not a fragile peace dependent on perfect circumstances, but a robust peace that endures even when circumstances crumble. To live unbothered is to develop profound internal steadiness. Regardless of external chaos, Stoics embrace reality as it is, acknowledging its unpredictable nature and inherent limitations, aligning their expectations accordingly. They hold their own thoughts up to scrutiny, discarding all but what aligns with truth and virtue. To walk through life unbothered is not to become distant or detached, but to be deeply present and profoundly discerning. It means standing amidst life's storms without allowing them to breach the fortress of your mind, acting always from reason rather than reflex. This is how Stoics live, not to impress others or achieve external accolades, but to remain free, internally steadfast, and consistently unshakable. This path is yours to choose every day. With every event, embrace clarity over chaos, wisdom over reactivity, and truth over narrative. Thus begins your journey toward an unbothered life. Two other people's minds are not your business. One of the most enduring sources of distress in our lives arises from a fundamental misunderstanding. We believe that other people's opinions and judgments about us genuinely matter. We mistakenly think that our worth is defined by external approval, and we let others' perceptions dictate how we see ourselves. Epictetus called this madness, a profound misplacement of our emotional sovereignty. By handing the keys of our self-worth to the minds of others, often those who barely understand themselves, we become puppets, dancing uncontrollably to their whims and passing moods. Epictetus famously said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." In contemporary terms, you aren't truly wounded by another's insult or rejection. You suffer because you interpret these actions as significant indicators of your value. An insult itself is not a wound. Your belief in its importance is. Your pain is not in their words, but in your acceptance and internalization of their words as truth. This does not deny the reality that people can behave poorly, unjustly, or disrespectfully. They frequently do. But the critical distinction, the Stoic reminds us, lies in understanding that their behavior belongs entirely to them. Your reaction, on the other hand, belongs entirely to you. Recognizing this simple yet powerful truth provides liberation and autonomy. You can't control how someone else perceives you, nor can you manage their opinions or thoughts. The moment you try, suffering inevitably follows because you've stepped beyond the limits of your control. True Stoicism isn't cold detachment or emotional numbness. It is, instead, clarity and a shift from reactive living to intentional sovereignty. Once you release the compulsion to manage how others view you, you're free to prioritize how you see yourself. You cease performing roles crafted for external validation and begin living authentically. Instead of endlessly chasing affection or approval, you cultivate genuine self-respect. Initially, this freedom feels radical, especially in a world profoundly addicted to external validation and applause. However, once experienced, this form of independence becomes transformative, building self-worth that neither shrinks nor swells based on someone else's transient opinions. Makes you formidable. Your inner peace becomes stable and unwavering amidst external noise. To be unbothered is not to stop caring about people, but rather to stop needing their approval, understanding, or validation to feel whole. Breaking free from these emotional chains doesn't stem from arrogance, but from a disciplined alignment with the realm of your control. When your internal peace no longer hinges on external opinions, you become truly invulnerable, not untouchable, but deeply unshaken. Imagine living as a sturdy tree rooted firmly in the ground. Opinions, judgments, and critiques blow through your branches like the wind, yet your trunk remains strong, rooted in your core truths. The Stoic understands that external judgments and criticisms are as transient and inconsequential as passing breezes. They choose not to argue with every gust of opinion, but simply stay grounded, secure in the strength of their own character and convictions. In relinquishing the desperate need for external agreement and validation, you discover something profound. A consistent internal compass. You begin to navigate life with greater ease and certainty. Your emotions stabilize, your reactions become measured, and your energy becomes carefully allocated toward meaningful growth, rather than endless external battles. The Stoic achieves this internal state not by shutting the world out, but by carefully filtering what enters their emotional landscape. They guard their self-respect not with defensiveness, but with deep understanding and unwavering inner clarity. Not every criticism warrants a response. Not every opinion deserves attention, and not every judgment is worth internalizing. Walking this path requires courage and consistent practice. It demands ongoing self-reflection and the willingness to confront one's insecurities honestly. Each moment of discomfort becomes an opportunity for introspection and growth, not because others hold power over you, but because you've recognized a need within yourself to resolve and grow. Ultimately, Stoicism provides you with the tools and the clarity to step away from external noise and realign with your internal truth. The reward is profound freedom, a self-directed life of purpose, calm, and unwavering integrity. Independent of others' fleeting thoughts and judgments, you become unbothered not by escaping life, but by profoundly embracing it on your terms, anchored firmly in your values and character. 3. Interrupt the reactionto live. Unbothered is not to become numb. Rather, it is to respond consciously, deliberately, and with intention. Stoicism does not advocate for the absence of emotions. This would strip away our very humanity. Instead, it urges the disciplined direction of our emotional reactions. Stoics understand clearly that emotion itself is not the enemy. Impulsive and uncontrolled reaction is. Feelings are a natural and inevitable part of life, but how we choose to act upon them determines our mastery or lack thereof. Consider a moment when someone says something cruel or condescending. The untrained mind immediately jumps into a defensive mode, reacting with anger, sarcasm, withdrawal, or shame. Yet, the Stoic introduces a critical gap, a sacred pause between stimulus and response. This pause is not merely hesitation, but a profound space of opportunity, a doorway through which wiser choices can emerge. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, beautifully encapsulated this Stoic truth. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space allows you enough time to remember your core values and who you genuinely are, rather than reacting instinctively from past wounds. Stoicism teaches us to practice this space with the discipline of a warrior training for battle regularly, intentionally, and with full awareness of the stakes involved. The goal is not suppression of emotion, but its careful observation and management. When anger or frustration rises, the Stoic acknowledges it, observing it like a guest rather than treating it as a commander. This subtle but critical distinction allows the emotion to speak without dictating actions. You listen to your emotions, but do not let them dominate your decisions. This is the essence of Stoic emotional mastery, understanding that emotions are messengers, not masters. This practice is honed in everyday experiences, responding to passive-aggressive emails, managing moments of irritation with loved ones, or calmly navigating interactions when others are chaotic. Each moment provides an opportunity to practice restraint and clarity. Instead of snapping or lashing out impulsively, the Stoic remains composed. They walk away, not out of weakness, but from a place of deep inner strength. Stoics recognize that the last word isn't always worth sacrificing inner peace. Silence can often be more powerful than a heated response. Choosing silence when your ego demands recognition requires profound discipline and strength, reinforcing your mastery over reactive impulses. The Stoics' daily practice involves recognizing the signs of emotional triggers early on: the tightening jaw, rapid breath, or elevated heart rate. These signals are not merely alarms, but opportunities for growth, invitations to practice self-awareness and discipline. Instead of blindly reacting, you pause, observe, and consciously choose your response. You ask yourself, what would my highest self choose in this situation, and act accordingly. Over time, this practice transforms into second nature, not through forced suppression, but genuine emotional refinement. You still experience emotions deeply, but instead of being controlled by them, you consciously choose your path. Your actions reflect intention, not mere impulse, and your life becomes a clear, calm, and unshakable expression of your inner values. Mastering the gap between stimulus and response means mastering yourself, achieving a form of internal freedom that is resilient, peaceful, and wise. You become a quiet fortress in a chaotic world, not isolated or indifferent, but discerning and deliberate. This is not detachment, but deep alignment with your inner truths and values. It is the highest form of emotional intelligence, fully feeling, yet wisely choosing. To practice Stoicism is to know when to respond with conviction, and when silence or restraint is the wiser course. In that quiet mastery lies true freedom, true strength, and true peace. /insult is a test, not a truth in life. Insults are inevitable. They come in various forms, from harsh criticisms and dismissive comments to subtle jabs and careless words. To walk through life expecting never to be insulted is unrealistic and sets you up for continuous disappointment. Stoics recognize this truth and prepare for it, not with pessimism, but with a calm and deliberate readiness. They anticipate human imperfection and understand insults for what they truly are: reflections of the speaker's internal turmoil rather than accurate assessments of your worth. Epictetus offers a critical lesson here. Remember, it is not he who gives the insult that is harmed, but he who takes it to heart. An insult has no power unless you grant it entry into your inner world. Its potency depends solely on your acceptance. When you internalize hurtful words, they wound deeply. But if you let them pass through without gripping tightly, they lose their sting. Stoicism views insults as diagnostic tools rather than direct attacks on character. When someone insults you, instead of instinctively feeling defensive or wounded, you can see it as an opportunity for introspection. Ask yourself, what does my reaction to this insult reveal about my own insecurities or unresolved beliefs? If a comment stings, it often points to an area of internal uncertainty. It is not about the insult itself, but about the internal beliefs that the insult touched. If someone calls you selfish and it stings, perhaps deep down you fear there might be truth in it. If your aspirations are mocked and you feel rattled, perhaps you haven't fully embraced and committed to those dreams yourself. Insults land only where internal doubts already exist. The Stoic responds to insults with curiosity and reflection, asking, "What can I learn about myself from my reaction?" This approach transforms insults from painful darts into mirrors that reflect internal areas, requiring attention and growth. The Stoic doesn't waste time or energy chasing down every critic or fighting every negative word. Instead, they turn inward, strengthening the integrity of their internal fortress. They understand that true strength comes not from silencing every critic but from fortifying the self against unnecessary influence. To be genuinely unbothered by insults means you cultivate deep self-awareness and integrity. Pretending insults don't hurt or acting indifferent while harboring inner turmoil only masks the issue temporarily. Real power rises when insults genuinely lose their impact because they find no internal insecurity to latch onto. You've done the work to know yourself thoroughly and honestly, ensuring external voices cannot distort your self-image. Insults and criticisms will always appear. Misunderstandings and judgments are a constant. Stoics accept this without bitterness or surprise. They understand clearly that standing for anything meaningful will inevitably invite resistance. Yet, they refuse to grant external negativity the power to redefine their self-worth or disrupt their inner peace. Stoicism equips you to guard your internal landscape vigilantly, deciding consciously what you allow to penetrate your mind and soul. When insults arrive, the Stoic treats them like passing weather. They may disturb the atmosphere momentarily, but they never shake the foundation. The insult is acknowledged briefly, assessed for truth, and then dismissed if found irrelevant or untrue. The Stoic's silence in the face of insult isn't born from weakness, but from profound inner strength. It reflects a choice to preserve clarity and peace over temporary emotional satisfaction. It demonstrates an understanding that reacting defensively only amplifies negativity, while calm resilience extinguishes its fire. Ultimately, insults lose their power entirely when you no longer need external validation to feel secure in yourself. Your identity and worth become immune to external attacks because they are firmly rooted within. You build your self-respect not on external opinions, but on personal integrity and unwavering self-awareness. Thus, the Stoic remains unbothered not because the world becomes kinder, but because they cultivate inner wisdom, strength, and peace that transcends external disturbances. Insults may test you, but they can never define you unless you give them permission. Stoicism teaches you to withhold that permission, ensuring that your worth remains sovereign, unshakable, and deeply yours. 5/ What you let in is what lives in you. An essential truth of Stoicism is understanding that your inner world directly reflects what you allow into it. Your mental landscape, the quality of your thoughts, and the emotions you frequently experience are shaped significantly by the inputs you choose to absorb. Just as a physical diet nourishes or harms your body, the mental diet you consume shapes your inner state profoundly. Marcus Aurelius wisely posed the question, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? This profound advice applies not only to your actions but equally to your attention. Every thought you entertain, every piece of media you consume, and every conversation you participate in each holds the potential to enrich your inner world or degrade it. Stoicism teaches that life isn't only defined by what you actively do but also by what you allow to shape you. To be truly unbothered, you must be selective, not fragile or withdrawn, but intentionally discerning. You cannot fill your mind with negativity, trivialities, or distractions and expect tranquility or clarity to flourish, just as you wouldn't feed your body junk food and expect physical health. You cannot consume mental junk and expect mental peace. Your mental and emotional reserves are finite resources. Every meaningless distraction or negative influence you engage with exacts a hidden cost, slowly draining your internal peace and clarity. Stoics recognize these hidden costs and rigorously audit their inputs. They practice vigilant stewardship of their inner life, deliberately choosing environments, companions, and even internal narratives that nourish rather than deplete their emotional well-being. Stoics consciously refuse participation in gossip, trivial conflicts, envy-driven narratives, and emotionally manipulative media. They recognize that every choice to engage with negativity or distraction is a lost opportunity to foster clarity, wisdom, and peace. Each no to harmful influences is a deliberate and sacred yes to something profoundly more meaningful and aligned with their core values. This practice doesn't arise from a desire to escape life's challenges, but from a deep respect for the power of attention and focus. Attention, after all, is a powerful vote cast toward the reality you wish to inhabit. When given recklessly, your mental world descends into chaos, but when guarded wisely, it builds a centered and resilient inner landscape. The Stoic approach to mental hygiene involves consistent, proactive filtering of inputs. They don't wait until mental chaos arises before initiating cleanup. Instead, they maintain mental clarity through regular, deliberate choices about what to allow into their consciousness. By doing so, they prevent unnecessary turbulence before it can take root, effectively safeguarding their inner peace. To practice Stoicism is to understand and respect the subtle, yet powerful effects of every piece of content you consume and every conversation you hold. It's recognizing that each mental input is either nourishing or toxic, empowering or debilitating. This heightened awareness guides your interactions, ensuring that you intentionally engage with thoughts and experiences that uplift, inspire, and align with your highest self. The Stoic mindset is proactive, disciplined, and intentional. It is not about isolation or avoiding the world. Rather, it's about engaging with the world thoughtfully, consciously deciding what deserves your energy. By meticulously curating what enters your mind, you foster an inner sanctuary immune to unnecessary disturbances. Ultimately, Stoicism offers the profound insight that true peace is not accidental, but cultivated deliberately through ongoing mindfulness and intentionality. Your mind becomes a sanctuary precisely because you guard its gates with clarity and vigilance, consistently choosing input aligned with your values. Thus, Your inner peace is not merely preserved, it flourishes. 6/Peace is not performance sign. Our current culture, peace often becomes another form of performance. Many people strive to appear calm and composed, driven by external perceptions and validations. Yet, true Stoic wisdom reveals that genuine peace cannot be performative. It is something you must cultivate sincerely within yourself, anchored in your personal integrity rather than displayed for external approval. The Stoics understood clearly that the moment peace becomes an act, something we show, rather than genuinely feel, it loses its essence and depth. True tranquility isn't about outward appearances, but inner alignment. It doesn't seek applause or admiration. It quietly emerges from a profound sense of clarity and authenticity. The difference between performative calm and authentic peace lies in intention. When your composure relies on how others perceive you, it becomes fragile, vulnerable to the shifting tides of opinion. True peace, however, springs from an unwavering internal commitment to your values and principles. It is robust, resilient, and immune to external fluctuations. Performative peace might temporarily mask anxiety or insecurity, but it never addresses their root causes. In contrast, genuine Stoic peace involves confronting discomfort, understanding it deeply, and transforming it into strength, rather than hiding or ignoring pain. You actively engage with it, extracting valuable lessons and insights that fortify your character. A Stoic doesn't suppress their emotions. Instead, they settle them. They approach each emotion with curiosity, allowing it to pass through without becoming captive to it. Their composure rises naturally from a profound inner steadiness, cultivated through continuous self-reflection and disciplined mindfulness. Stoics understand that the craving for external validation, the urge to impress others, and the compulsion to manage perceptions are significant disturbances themselves. Such pursuits leave us perpetually anxious and dissatisfied, tethered to external circumstances we cannot control. Stoicism teaches us to relinquish these cravings, shifting our focus inward, toward meaningful self-alignment and authentic expression. When your identity no longer depends on external validation, you discover an immense sense of freedom. Your peace becomes foundational, rooted firmly in truth rather than fragile appearances. You no longer waste energy curating a persona for external approval. Instead, you cultivate genuine character rooted in virtue and clarity. Living this truth means accepting occasional misunderstandings, judgments, and misperceptions without compulsively correcting or defending yourself. You become comfortable being misunderstood because you recognize that your self-worth doesn't hinge on external recognition. Instead, your validation arises internally from living consistently according to your values. This deep alignment with internal truths isn't pride or arrogance, but profound peace. You no longer measure your success by external standards or applause, but by how closely you align your actions with your inner principles. Stoics prioritize integrity over image, truth over perception, and authenticity over applause. In this state of genuine tranquility, you show up authentically without concern for external judgment or validation. Your presence becomes quietly powerful, reflecting an internal steadiness that speaks louder than any words. You don't seek to impress others, but rather express yourself authentically, free from the exhausting stage of external validation. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches you that peace is not a mask or performance. It is a deeply rooted, authentic state of being. You cultivate it through intentional self-reflection, disciplined emotional management, and unwavering commitment to your core principles. By letting go of performative peace, you gain something infinitely more valuable: true inner tranquility. that remains steady regardless of external circumstances. 7. Let it pass through. Many of us carry pain much longer than necessary, replaying insults, disappointments, and misunderstandings repeatedly in our minds. In doing so, we inadvertently keep wounds open, carrying yesterday's grievances into today, allowing past hurts to cloud our present moments. Stoicism, however, teaches the profound wisdom of letting things pass through, releasing pain rather than clutching it tightly. This practice doesn't mean dismissing or ignoring experiences that genuinely hurt. Rather, it means choosing not to let these painful experiences permanently reside within your emotional landscape. Stoics recognize that their energy is finite and must be carefully directed toward what truly matters. Holding onto pain is not a demonstration of strength, it is a drain on your inner resources. To let something pass through doesn't imply acceptance, agreement, or indifference to wrongdoing. It is simply refusing to give temporary pain a permanent home. Instead of internalizing pain, Stoics feel it, acknowledge it, and learn from it, then intentionally choose to let it go. They refuse to allow fleeting moments of hurt to define their inner narrative permanently. Stoicism urges you to examine your emotional responses critically, asking whether the continued investment of your attention in past hurts serves any useful purpose. Is holding onto this pain helping you grow, or is it merely habitual, feeding an unnecessary emotional burden? The Stoic approach involves actively questioning the usefulness of holding onto negative emotions, choosing clarity and progress over bitterness and stagnation. There is profound strength in releasing emotional burdens, choosing to let go rather than remaining tethered to old wounds. This isn't surrender, it's strategic emotional wisdom, an essential skill in navigating life's inevitable challenges. You can witness your pain without internalizing it, observing your emotions without becoming enslaved by them. Stoics master the skill of emotional navigation, allowing emotions to flow through them like waves. They experience each emotion fully but do not get stuck or overwhelmed. This emotional fluidity doesn't make them fragile, it makes them resilient. Their emotional roots run deeper than the immediate turbulence of any moment. Practicing this emotional hygiene means regularly clearing out emotional residue, allowing past hurts and resentments to fade naturally. Stoics understand that peace requires consistent cultivation and maintenance. They actively maintain emotional clarity, choosing to face each new moment openly, without carrying unnecessary emotional baggage. This deliberate release of emotional burdens fosters profound freedom. You move through life lighter, clearer, and more present. The past informs you without imprisoning you. Your emotional responses become conscious choices rather than unconscious reactions. You transform pain into lessons, hurt into wisdom, and experience into strength. Through this practice, you build a life defined not by what has wounded you, but by the wisdom and strength you've gained. Stoicism teaches that letting go is not only possible, but necessary for emotional health and spiritual growth. It allows you to face life with openness, resilience, and genuine inner peace. Ultimately, Stoicism equips you to carry only what serves your journey forward. You learn to distinguish between the experiences that deserve reflection and those best left behind. This clarity enables you to live deeply and meaningfully, grounded firmly in the present, unburdened by unnecessary emotional weight. Letting experiences pass through you becomes a cornerstone of your emotional freedom and inner tranquility. 8/ You do not owe a reaction in our fast-paced, reactive world. There's often an implicit expectation to respond instantly and passionately to every provocation, criticism, or challenge. Stoicism, however, reminds us of an essential truth. You do not owe the world an immediate reaction. Silence or thoughtful pause is not a sign of weakness or submission, but rather a powerful act of self-mastery and deliberate choice. Stoics recognize that genuine strength does not reside in quick retorts or loud rebuttals, but rather in the disciplined ability to restrain impulsive reactions. This restraint is not born from fear or suppression, but from wisdom and clarity. It's the capacity to discern when a response is genuinely warranted and when it merely serves to fuel unnecessary conflict or drain your precious energy. Every invitation to conflict or provocation is not necessarily worth your attention. Stoicism teaches you to evaluate these situations calmly and objectively, asking yourself critical questions. Will responding enhance my character? Will it genuinely resolve an issue or merely entangle me further in emotional turmoil? Does this reaction serve my long-term goals or merely satisfy short-term impulses? This measured reflection allows you to recognize most provocations for what they are: traps disguised as urgency, seeking to draw you into battles that have no meaningful outcome. Instead of succumbing to the illusion of necessity in reacting, you can consciously choose to disengage, preserving your peace and conserving your energy for what truly matters. Stoicism highlights that silence or non-reaction is often the most powerful and dignified response. When you choose not to react impulsively, you demonstrate genuine strength, clarity, and composure. Your decision to remain calm under pressure sends a clear, compelling message that your inner state is not dictated by external provocations. The Stoics' emotional discernment doesn't mean disengagement from life. Instead, it represents refined engagement. Stoics respond intentionally, only engaging in situations that genuinely align with their values, principles, and long-term objectives. The strategic restraint protects their internal peace and ensures their reactions are meaningful and constructive rather than destructive or impulsive. This practice involves recognizing the fundamental difference between reaction and response. Reactions are typically emotional, immediate, and uncontrolled. Responses, by contrast, are thoughtful, deliberate, and aligned with personal integrity and clarity. Mastering this difference is crucial for emotional and psychological resilience. Stoics carefully manage their internal responses, knowing true freedom arises from controlling their impulses, rather than being controlled by external stimuli. In moments of provocation, Stoics pause, reflect, and consciously choose their response. This intentional pause provides a moment of clarity, allowing for wise decisions rather than instinctive reactions. Stoicism teaches us to respond from a place of strength and wisdom, grounded firmly in self-awareness and intentionality. It's a quiet form of power that emerges from internal mastery, not external dominance. The world may demand noise and urgency, but Stoics respond with measured calm, clear boundaries, and disciplined restraint. Ultimately, Stoicism invites you to reclaim control over your emotional landscape. It empowers you to understand that your peace and well-being are far too valuable to be sacrificed to impulsive reactions or external provocations. In consciously choosing whether and how to respond, you nurture profound inner strength, emotional stability, and lasting tranquility. This deliberate practice of thoughtful non-reaction becomes an essential component of your journey toward true emotional sovereignty. 9/Stop trying to win the wrong battles in life. It is common to feel the urge to defend our pride, argue every point, and win every debate. However, Stoicism offers a profound lesson. Not every battle is worth fighting. Many conflicts we engage in serve no real purpose beyond satisfying momentary ego. draining us emotionally and distracting us from what truly matters. Stoicism teaches the wisdom of discernment, urging us to question whether each conflict genuinely aligns with our core values and long-term goals. Engaging in every argument or defending every slight is exhausting and ultimately counterproductive. It redirects energy away from meaningful pursuits and depletes the inner peace we strive to maintain. True strength, according to Stoicism, isn't shown by winning every battle or argument, but by knowing which battles to engage in. This discernment is essential because many battles we face in daily life are merely distractions disguised as significant issues. They are petty ego matches, unnecessary justifications, and fruitless attempts to change minds unwilling or unable to see clearly. Stoics advise stepping back from such engagements, recognizing that some battles are simply not worth the emotional toll. Instead of proving themselves in every trivial confrontation, Stoics choose to conserve their energy for issues that truly matter, those that align with their values, advance their personal growth, and contribute positively to their lives. This practice involves deep self-awareness and clarity. It requires asking yourself critical questions. Does this conflict align with my values? Will winning this argument truly improve my life or merely feed my ego? Is engaging in this battle worth the emotional and mental cost? By honestly answering these questions, you learn to prioritize your emotional resources wisely. The need to constantly prove oneself or be validated by others is ultimately a weakness masquerading as strength. It reflects insecurity rather than confidence. True confidence arises from knowing your worth without needing external validation. Through constant victories in superficial conflicts, Stoicism encourages you to let go of the compulsion to always be right, allowing room for greater clarity, maturity, and genuine peace. Choosing not to engage in unnecessary battles doesn't mean surrendering your values or compromising your integrity. Rather, it's a deliberate decision to focus your attention on meaningful pursuits. It's understanding that not every wrong needs immediate correction, and not every misunderstanding requires explanation. Some battles are better left unfought, and your energy better directed elsewhere. Stoics recognize that engaging in every battle isn't just unproductive, it's harmful. It reinforces unhealthy emotional patterns and distracts from essential growth and progress. Instead, they practice deliberate withdrawal from conflicts that serve no higher purpose. This withdrawal is not avoidance, but wisdom, a conscious choice to maintain emotional balance and clarity. By releasing the need to win every trivial confrontation, you gain something far more valuable: inner peace, emotional stability, and a stronger sense of self-worth. You cultivate a calm and composed presence, confident enough to remain silent when others are loud and centered enough to stay unshaken amidst unnecessary drama. Ultimately, Stoicism empowers you to choose your battles carefully, focusing your energy on genuine growth, meaningful achievements, and lasting peace. You learn to differentiate between battles worth fighting and those best ignored, building a life of deliberate clarity and intentionality. The Stoic wisdom helps you create a purposeful and serene existence, grounded in true strength and meaningful tranquility. 10. Nobody bothers you. The ultimate truth Stoicism teaches is profoundly liberating. Nobody truly bothers you unless you permit them to. This principle is neither denial nor escapism. It is a conscious and deliberate choice about what you allow into your internal world. People can behave rudely, disrespectfully, or unfairly, yet their actions do not have intrinsic power to disturb your inner peace, unless you actively grant that power. Stoicism does not promise a kinder, fairer world, but instead provides tools to maintain your composure and tranquility despite external chaos. The Stoic recognizes that while the world can be unpredictable and people may behave thoughtlessly, you alone control your internal response and emotional landscape. This practice requires rigorous internal discipline, training your mind to distinguish clearly between external events and your internal interpretation of those events. When someone insults or dismisses you, Stoicism encourages viewing their behavior as reflections of their own internal struggles and insecurities rather than personal attacks against your worth. This profound understanding empowers you to navigate life's inevitable challenges without internalizing unnecessary negativity. You learn to keep external chaos at a safe distance, safeguarding your internal peace by refusing to absorb other people's turbulent energies. Instead of reacting impulsively, you consciously choose your responses, ensuring they reflect your highest values and principles. Being unbothered doesn't mean you're insensitive or indifferent to others' feelings. Rather, you no longer allow external events to dictate your emotional state. Your inner peace becomes a fortress that external disturbances cannot penetrate. You become sovereign over your emotional and mental terrain, actively deciding which influences to accept or reject. Stoics carefully construct their emotional and psychological defenses not out of fear, but from profound respect for their internal well-being. They understand that granting emotional access to every external event or opinion is a recipe for constant turmoil. Instead, they intentionally choose what to allow inside their mental fortress, maintaining clarity, peace, and emotional stability. Practicing the Stoic principle involves continuous self-reflection and mindfulness. You regularly ask yourself, am I allowing external negativity to shape my inner reality unnecessarily? Am I giving away my peace to situations or people that do not deserve it? These questions guide you toward intentional emotional resilience and greater internal autonomy. Living unbothered means you stop expecting the external world to align perfectly with your desires and expectations. Instead, you align your expectations with reality, developing profound acceptance and adaptability. You become emotionally self-sufficient, no longer relying on external validation or perfect circumstances to feel content and centered. Ultimately, nobody bothers you unless you hand them the keys to your emotional state. When you stop outsourcing your peace to external factors and reclaim responsibility for your internal landscape, you achieve genuine freedom and serenity. You walk through life deeply grounded and profoundly unshakable. Regardless of external disruptions, Stoicism teaches you to maintain emotional sovereignty, responding consciously rather than reacting impulsively. Your inner peace becomes unwavering, independent of external chaos or criticism. By consistently applying Stoic wisdom, you cultivate lasting tranquility and resilience, experiencing life with clarity, strength, and profound inner peace. And now, as we settle into the quiet end of our time together, just breathe with me for a moment. The world outside can wait. The unfinished conversations, the noisy opinions, the unfinished to-do lists, they're still out there, floating in the background, like distant echoes. But they don't belong in this moment. Not here, right now. It's just you, your breath, your thoughts, and the soft hum of stillness settling in. You've carried a lot today, maybe more than most people even realize. The weight of expectations, the constant tug of emotions that rise and fall like waves, the little jabs and judgments that brush past you in the rush of life. And yet, here you are, still steady, still breathing, still becoming. The Stoics knew this quiet was sacred. They understood that after all the noise, the debates, the unexpected moments life throws at us, there has to be a space A space just like this where nothing gets in unless you invite it. Your mind is yours, your peace, yours to protect. And nobody bothers you unless you open that door and let them. And maybe tonight, you finally feel the truth of that settling in. It's not about being untouchable or building walls so high that nothing gets through. It's softer than that, gentler. It's knowing you don't have to hold every harsh word or carry every misunderstanding. You can let them drift by, like leaves floating down a quiet stream, moving on, without ever disturbing the stillness beneath the surface. You're allowed to rest now, to loosen your grip on the stories your mind has been spinning all day. You don't have to rewrite the conversations or defend your worth in the quiet of your thoughts. Not here, not now. Just be. It's okay if your mind wanders for a moment. Let it. The Stoics weren't rigid. They weren't trying to control every flicker of thought. They simply noticed, gently guided their awareness back, anchored themselves in the present, and let the rest pass through like clouds dissolving across the evening sky. And maybe tonight, you can do the same. The world will keep turning. People will keep talking. But your peace, it stays right here with you. It's quieter than the headlines, softer than the noise. It hums beneath the surface, steady, unshaken, always waiting for you to come back to it. And as you lie there, eyes growing heavier, maybe the room a little cooler now, the faint hum of a fan or the quiet stillness of your space settling around you, know this: you've already done enough for today. You've already proven your strength simply by holding your ground, by choosing not to react, by letting go of what wasn't yours to carry in the first place. The world can wait, right? Now, it's just you and this quiet moment. So let your breath slow, let your shoulders soften, let your thoughts drift without needing to chase them. You are safe here. You are steady here. You are enough here. And when the morning comes, the world will still be there. But so will this quiet strength you've nurtured tonight. The Stoics called it the inner citadel, the place inside you that nothing and no one can shake. And tonight, maybe, just maybe, you found your way back to it. Sleep well, steady soul. You've earned it. Sweet dreams.